say hi to someone.
There's one right here. This one's empty right here.
Here what? Naomi? Is that your purse?
That's my mom's purse.
Phone's going.
Oh, okay.
If anything important.
Okay, I'll check.
Don. I also kind of walked the red road, and I kind of have for many years. So for you who don't know, John was a pipe carrier and a very spiritual man, and he brought a lot of gifts to the sacred womb of Mother Earth here in Campbell River. So that's why Zachary's going to invite the good grandfathers and the good grandmothers to honor John and to just clear the way for all of us.
Drunk driver. How ironic, given that John had been proudly clean and sober for 33 years and dedicated a big part of his life to helping others in their struggle with alcohol addiction. He practiced the principles of the AA program in his everyday life. So how fitting that we gather here today in this place, a center that supports people in achieving sobriety. We are all like jewels with many facets that reflect light in different ways. Some of John's facets were reflected in his relationships as a husband, a father, a son, a friend, a sponsor, an uncle, brother, a support worker, a brother-in-law. Other facets in his jewel were compassion and caring and integrity. He stood by the people he provided for. If anyone ever needed an advocate who would go to the wall for them, John was their man. Any client who had John for a support worker was lucky. John made a difference in a lot of people's lives. Another of John's gifts was his great sense of humor. I can hear him doing his Forrest Gump imitation. My name is John Norman Fisher. People call me John Norman. He loved to make people laugh. He had a wicked wit, sometimes dry, sometimes outrageous. He'd always have a joke on the go and tell the same joke to lots of different people, so I'd wind up hearing the same joke over and over again. He could be wonderfully goofy and silly, so even with his developmentally delayed clients were touched by his humor. One work story tells how he stopped his car on the side of a busy freeway and got out to do an Elvis imitation to distract an agitated client. Still another side to John was his creativity. He was a gifted photographer. He captured the beauty of nature in thousands and thousands of pictures. He bought a new camera after we moved out here just because of the plentiful opportunities to photograph eagles. He also expressed his creativity in carving. He made many walking sticks and pipe tampers and talking sticks, which he happily gave away. He also taught carving to several clients, and this really gave his clients a purpose and pride and achievement, and it was a great thing to be doing. John was absolutely gifted in his work with people with disabilities. He offered them deep and essential respect, found their potential and ways to develop it. He supported men who had struggled to achieve much of anything in their lives to develop skills and grow their sense of worth. I know that there's clients of John's here and in Calgary who are very sorry with this loss. Family was very important to John. He was thrilled to be a grandpa, our new grandson Logan here. He was definitely a loving husband, a proud father, a caring uncle, a son, a brother. He and I shared a simple good life, and we shared a love of chocolate. We loved camping. He was kind of crusty on the outside, but mushy on the inside. He often sent me silly little text messages of, "I love you." We shared a love of music, and we went to the Canmore Folk Festival every year. If anybody ever knows about folk festivals, he would stand in line at 4:30 in the morning so that he could do the tarp run, so we could get a good spot, for the festival. And our friends said, "Blessed are the tarp runners." He loved his daughter Caitlin. When she was born, he joyfully marched her through the hospital, asking everyone, "Have you met my beautiful daughter yet?" Caitlin fondly remembers how he braided her hair when she was little, and never missed one of her band performances. They did road trips from Calgary to Vancouver a number of times, and he used to tell her that he had to play rock and roll when they drove through tunnels, because if you played country, the trolls would throw boogers at you. If you played rock and roll, they were too busy dancing. At Christmas time, he would scatter raisins in the living room to show her reindeer poop. He loved to cook for our friends. He would make great turkey dinners, which were my favorite, and he'd do 4 different kinds of stuffing for different friends with dietary requirements. Zach's already mentioned native spirituality had a very central place in his life. He was a respected pipe carry. He participated in sweats and sun dances. He loved going to powwows. We've been going through, I have a whole row of photo albums and boxes of pictures, and there's amazing pictures at powwows. His connection with Native elders was very important to him. This all started when he first came into the program, and the first person he met was Brad Crowchild. He told me the story of how he was shaking so badly he was shaking his coffee, and Brad said, "You stupid white guy, you have to fill your cup only half full." Brad will be there to welcome him home, along with Chuck and Doug and other dear AA mates who have passed. Needless to say, his sudden death has been gut-wrenching horrible, but it sure brought out a lot of caring and thanks, a lot of love and caring. Thanks to my sister, who's been with me right from the beginning to help with all of this, my dear sweet friend Myra. Having Caitlin and Brooke and Logan here has been enormously good. A little noisy, busy guy is the best tonic in the world. I'm so glad my niece Bobby was able to come from Ontario, and John's dad. Thanks to all of you for being here today. I think I missed a page. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Never mind. The fact that this room is full, we were sitting around trying to plan this service. And, you think about what goes into a service. And I said, we were at home. There was 8 or 9 of us at home. And I said, other than the people in this room, everybody else that's going to be here today has known John for a year, right? We're new to the community. So the fact that you're all here, to me, really speaks to regard for him and how he touched people and how he made a difference. A bright light went out on November 26th when John was killed. He will be sorely missed by many and lovingly remembered.
When I've forgotten all the rest, you to me were true, you to me were the best. When there is no more, you cut to the core, quicker than anyone I knew. When I'm all alone in the grave, fail. I had so much left to do. I had so little time to fail. When I'm in the sad and I'm in the shade, well, shucks, I remember you. Didn't I try to love you? Didn't I try to care? Didn't I sleep? Didn't I weep beside you? With the rain blowing in your hair. Oh, I remember you. When the wind blows through that piney wood, it was you who came right through. It was you who understood. Though I'd never say that I'd done it the way you'd have liked me to. In the end, my dear sweet friend, well, I remember you. I'll remember you.
You know, and he was, he was a beautiful man. I mean, even though I think, my Aunt Jody already alluded to how he was crusty on the outside, and I mean, him and I could, go at it pretty good, right? But that, at the end of the day, it was always, if we were around each other, it was always a hug and I love you, and if it was just on the phone, because now we're, provinces apart, right? And my uncle, way back when, he took my mom to her first sweat, and she actually didn't end up going into that sweat. For whatever reason, she had changed her mind, and this was in Timbers Reserve in Alberta. And she changed her mind, so Uncle John went into the sweat, and she decided to, go for a walk in the woods by herself in the bush. And as she's walking, she came across this great big bear. And they just kind of stayed on the same path, looking at each other and checking each other out. And then the bear went on his way, right? And my mom went back, and I think that was kind of a turning point for her. And then she was asking him lots and lots of questions about, the sweat lodges and stuff. And, because of his influence and his knowledge and that, my mom became a sun dancer. There was also my Uncle John who really influenced my mom in getting sobriety. Alcohol addiction has